Hello and welcome to The Ganru Show. I'm Golda.
And I'm Ganru.
And this is a podcast that's just like hanging out with your two best girlfriends.
It's like having Michelle and Barack Obama as parents.
Or Mike and Carol Brady.
Or Ellen and Portia.
To be one of their dogs.
They have the best life.
They sure do.
In today's episode, we'll be talking about whether or not we're turning into our parents.
And you'll find out why Ganru is deathly afraid of leggings.
Oh, don't even bring it up. And you'll find out why Golda has 100 rolls of Christmas wrapping paper in her closet right now.
As does the rest of the world, right?
Everybody in the world.
Citizens of the universe.
So, let's get started.
One of my favorite segments is a segment that we like to call
Girl, what you been up to?
So this is where we discover about what we've been up to. Right, Ganru?
Yeah, I got a big update for you.
Okay, so let's not waste any time and get right into it. Tell us, girl, what you been up to?
I have found one of the most mysterious Ganru stalkers out there.
What?
We have a stalker.
What?
But I like to call him a super fan.
Okay.
And
he's just enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic.
Yeah.
I say stalking jokingly. But we've been looking for this person who wrote an amazing review on our iTunes page.
Yeah.
Right? And I've been looking for this person called Viper1979.
Is that for a car? That
Is
Viper?
it a Dodge enthusiast?
Is it?
He's clearly a Gen Xer because he's 1979.
Oh, okay.
So who is this guy?
Yeah.
Right? Or girl?
Yeah,
right?
we've been wondering this for what seems to be like months.
Since the inception of our podcast.
Yes.
And I will hold you in suspense no longer.
Yes.
I ran into him at Anza Borrego State Park.
What?
Because I went there a couple weeks ago to look at the super bloom.
Is that a safe state park?
It's pretty safe. Why do you say that?
What's it called? Enzo?
Anza Borrego.
Okay.
The second largest state park in the United States. Thank you very much, Golda.
Right. Okay, so
anyways, I saw a horde of people, all of who I knew.
Okay.
Because they're all related to my friend Angela. So shout out to Angela.
Whoop, whoop.
And among her many group of people that were with her were her sisters, her husband, her kids, and her brother-in-law, Nicholas, and you know who you are. And so I came and I said hi to everybody at the visitor center at Anza Borrego. And Nicholas said, "Hey, I've been really enjoying your podcast. Did you see my review?"
Oh, there it is.
There it is. I was like,
smooth as silk there, Nicholas. It's like, hey, looking at his map of the state park.
He was.
Oh, no kidding. I totally was guessing.
I was like, where should I go? He said, go here, go here, go here. And by the way, did you see my review?
Wow.
And I was like, and then I literally looked at him and I said, Viper 1979?
What?
And he said, I don't even know what that, no one knows why they pick the usernames they do, but he acknowledged that it was indeed him.
Uh-huh.
And it's almost like that moment, in The Usual Suspects where that
Kaiser Sosang?
Yeah, he like stands up and then like he starts like walking out and then the detective starts like piecing things together. Like he sees like a thing on the board and he sees all the mug.
Yeah.
It's like, everything's like coming together.
Yes.
I had that moment with Nicholas.
Wow.
So
you had that Neo from Matrix moment when he no longer had to dodge the bullets. No?
Or that he could bend the bullets? Or
no, that was bending the spoon.
What?
And Odyssey 5000 was the other one. No, anyway. So you had that moment, that magical moment of clarity. Everything started coming together.
It all came together. And I say he's a stalker completely jokingly because he's actually been an amazingly supportive, faithful listener. So we want to give him a shout out. So he is Nicholas N., but also Viper1979, and also Nico Nation on YouTube.
Oh.
So
does he post stuff on YouTube?
Oh, he doesn't, but he comments on our YouTube page.
Okay.
And so, for one good stock, you have to give a complimentary stock back. Right?
Tell me more.
Mutual Admiration Society.
Yeah.
So, girl, I would like to give a little shout out to
Yeah.
Nicholas. So I follow him on Instagram and Facebook, and he is a father. He's accomplished at work in the field of education. I will not say what because I don't want to reveal too many personal details.
Okay.
He's an amazing husband. He has an amazing wife, and he's a traveler. He's a social media superstar. He's always posting interesting posts. You see, I'm just like laying it on.
You're
him.
like, do you know any of his hobbies?
Hobbies are eating food and traveling. He has a lot of food photos.
What kind of food does he like?
He likes Spanish food. He likes octopus. He likes paella.
Ooh.
Alcohol, Asian food. You know what I've noticed about Nicholas, and I'm just sort of generalizing here. He eats a wide variety of foods.
Oh my goodness. So let me see if I understand what you're telling me
but
here.
But he
Wonder.
maintains a svelte figure. What?
Oh, high metabolism perhaps, or genetics.
Yes.
Hey, so what I'm gathering here is you're turning the tables because he was stalking us once upon a time. And now I'm discovering by you sharing this with us that now you are learning a lot about him.
It's true.
Huh.
See, when you stalk each other, it no longer becomes a stalking situation. It becomes a mutual admiration society.
So you kind of cancel each other out with the stalking.
Yeah, pretty much.
See.
Yeah.
I see.
But anyways, what I really want to say, it was so random running into him and actually running into the whole Angela family clan. And yeah, just big props to him. So thank you again, Nicholas.
Yeah, it's interesting that you were able to discover because Wanderu and I have been wondering who is this Viper1979 for the longest time, because it was such an amazing review. You should definitely check it out if you are so inclined and you want to know what we're talking about here. But it was with such wit. It was written with such wit and personality and with such specificity as far as previous episodes that we've already archived. We were just amazed at how much detail this person had written. And we're wondering, who do we know? And we were asking, folks that we may have known in our circle, and no one was saying anything. So we were like, oh, whatever. And then had you not gone to this state park function, who knows if we would have ever discovered who this person was.
Yeah, so thanks, Super Bloom.
Oh, is that why the Super Bloom?
Yeah.
Are you part of the folks who killed the flowers?
I did trample a bunch of flowers. Here's just to give you an example of how lesser of a social media person I am. Like, all of Nicholas's pictures from Anza Borrego are awesome, right? It's like his son's running in the back, in the foreground, there's all these beautiful wildflowers. Mm-hmm. Mine are me looking sweaty and my hair's plastered to my head and my eyes are squinting because I'm looking at the sun, and like my clothes are all disheveled. I'm just looking like trash. And he looks amazing. He looks like he's in the middle of nature.
You know what? All due respect, I'm pretty sure yours looks like glamour shots.
No,
but you're your own worst enemy.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's probably fabulous.
So anyways, we just want to give him a little shout out. But do we have any other people we'd like to acknowledge since we're on the acknowledgement train?
Yeah, I think that since we're talking about Viper 1979 and putting a face to a name out there, we've been getting so much love and really wonderful comments from folks who have said some nice stuff to us, such as Darren M. Futty wrote a really nice review for us. Linda M, Lisa Y, and Chester. So those guys,
Chester,
thank you so much.
Who you are. Thank you for the email.
Yeah, very, very sweet. Thanks, you guys. We welcome any and all feedback and interaction. So keep them coming.
All right, now Golda, I want to hear, girl, what have you been up to?
Girl, I've been studying for the final season of Game of Thrones. Yes, it's a thing.
You have to study.
It's
for the finale.
It's kind of like when I studied for the SAT in the legal way. What?
What do you mean in the legal way?
Well, the whole admission scandals and all that. Anyway, we'll get into that some other time, whatever. I did it the legal way. Okay.
So why have you been studying for Game of Thrones like you've been studying for your SATs?
Okay, you have to now picture this, right? We've been waiting 2 years for season 8 of Game of Thrones, and it is not disappointing by any stretch of the imagination. But, there's a lot of details. There's a lot of details that you got to pay attention to about Game of Thrones. And that's what I'm trying to do so that I'm fresh. So I'm fresh with the Game of Thrones. So I am studying. I am studying for Game of Thrones so that I am fully equipped to handle the final season magic that is the season 8 Game of Thrones.
But look, if you don't know some of the details, is it going to be less entertaining for you?
It will absolutely be less entertaining, Wanru. Do you not know me?
Can't you just be like me, stumble through the episode and be like, oh, I don't remember that. I
No.
don't remember that.
No, girl. You gotta live. This is like, it's kind of like when have you ever said to yourself, I have to see so and so in concert because they're probably gonna die soon? Have you ever had that thought?
Oh, yeah, I actually have. Yes.
Right? Like, I feel that way about Paul McCartney. Sorry, Paul McCartney. Hashtag Beatles. I feel that way about Paul McCartney, where I'm such a huge Beatles fan, and I know in my head I have to see Paul McCartney before he dies.
Right.
Because he's getting up there, right? And he's a legend. He's a living legend, right?
So
the analogy there is Game of Thrones is a living legend of a TV show and in entertainment. You've got to be in it while it's happening. And the way to be in it when it's happening is you got to have all the information so that you can make the appropriate predictions, because that's what it's all about, is making the predictions. Yes.
It helps you to appreciate it more. The more backstory you have, the more you can appreciate it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there's definitely different schools of thought here. You've got...
Yeah, I'm like, my school of thought is when someone gonna get burned by a dragon.
Ooh.
I am in for the burnings of the people by the dragons. Dracarys. Dracarys means burn in High Valyrian. See, I knew that.
Wow.
It means fire or burn in High Valyrian. I knew that. Oh my God, all the Game of Thrones fact checkers are going to be on me. Twitter.
Yeah. And is it a long draw or is it a dray? I think it's Dracarys. Dracarys. With eyebrows raised.
And she knows this because she's been studying so hard.
But it's like it's frame by frame, Anyway, so and here's the thing is I always used to think that among all of my friends, I was the cool one, the cool Game of Thrones fan. Meaning I used to be like you, Andrew, where I would just be like, I'm just gonna skate along and whatever. If I remember something, then great. If not, who cares? But this time I am studying like my life depends upon it.
You're fully immersed. You're thrown on the cloak of geekdom and you do not even care and you wear it proudly. Is that what it is?
I'm wearing it proudly. I mean, I am going to many different resources to get this information. So not only am I revisiting old episodes and rewatching it, right? I am looking for clues from the cast to which episodes to watch or which seasons to watch. I'm listening to Game of Thrones podcasts. I'm looking at Game of Thrones YouTube pages such as Nerd Soup, who I love. They're fantastic. If you haven't checked them out and you're a Game of Thrones nerd like me, do it. You will not be disappointed. They're so smart, so analytical. Love it. I'm doing a lot of that. And then I'm like having conversations with my other Game of Thrones nerd friends. We're analyzing things and it's getting heated.
Yeah. Did you ever imagine you'd come to this point where you're like getting ready to watch the final season and you're like immersing yourself in this culture and debating people about literally a fantasy world that does not exist?
Yes, I did not know that I would be this person because I was popular in high school. Not really. I was kind of like under the radar.
So why do you think that this phenomenon has swept up and like grabbed you by the
By the cojones?
By the cojones. I was trying to find a Game of Thrones analogy. I couldn't really think of it.
By my Dracarys? My Dracar Noir? No, it's
Noir.
different. Cool waters. No, I think that it's 10 years of your life, man. This show's been on for 10 years.
Yeah, you're invested.
That's like a big chunk of my youth. Because I'm in my 30s.
She's in her 30s. Well, girl, I think it's time well spent.
Yes, and there is a big battle coming up as well. So Yeah, get your Game of Thrones pools ready to rock and predictions in there because I got my predictions.
Mm-hmm.
I got my predictions.
Well, that is very exciting, and I'm glad you're enjoying it so much. So, how would they say, "Girl, what you been up to" in High Valerian? And we will leave you with that. Now, here's a main topic that you may relate to if you've ever been born and you've ever had a parent. It is, are we turning into our parents? And if so, is that good or bad? What do you think, Golda?
Well, I think I'm turning it to my mother.
And we'll dive into it a little bit more. But first, let's start. Do you have, just to kind of give us an idea of what your parents were like, Golda, do you have a few quotes from your parents you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about things that parents typically say to their kids that you hear over and over again, right? Like, money doesn't grow on trees, or we'll cross that bridge, or I'll give you something to cry about.
Oh,
You know, like stuff like that. Like, you know, like you hear like parents say to their kids time and time again.
you should see the other guy.
Yeah, you should see the other guy. And then
that's if your dad's into fist fights.
Yeah. Yeah. Rambo. And then I started thinking about how is that different in a Filipino household?
Right.
What's the variation of those themes? Right. So one of the things, like, for example, when a parent would say, I'll give you something to cry about, right?
Is that a thing? Okay.
Yeah, I'll give you something to cry about because, you know, you're crying, wah, wah, wah. And then the parents say, I'll give you some, don't cry. I'll give you something to cry about.
Oh, I see.
Right? Like that's a kind of like a normal thing that I think I've heard parents say.
Yeah.
One of the things that I used to do as a kid that is normal for a kid is you lose stuff, right? You lose stuff. You can't find stuff. So you're like, Mom, where's my jeans? Or Dad, where are my car keys? Or Mom, what happened to that dress I wore the other day? You know, like that kind of stuff. Does any of this stuff kind of like ring true for you at all?
I have slightly different parents, so let's just, I'll get into my stuff. But yeah, so how would they respond?
Okay, so then if I would say to my mom, Mom, where's my sweatshirt? She wouldn't even look up from what she's doing. And she would say, look with your eyes, not your mouth.
How did I know?
Look with your eyes, not your mouth. Oh my gosh, that has been ingrained in me since I've been a child. And even to this day, I say that to myself.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I've been programmed. Look with your eyes, not your mouth. So that's one of the things that my mom has said to me. Look with your eyes, not your mouth. So if you were to take it that extra step further, I think what she was actually trying to teach me was problem solving skills. Right? I'm reframing it into problem solving skills. So that's definitely one of the things that my mom has said in my childhood.
I see.
Yeah. What about you? What is one thing that you have heard?
So I just want to clarify that I'm not talking crap about my parents. I actually have a very good relationship with my parents now that I'm an adult. But my parents are not traditional in that they were not especially nurturing or mothering or watching out for me. There is a...
And just to clarify, you're not talking shit about your
I'm
parents.
not talking no shit. I'm just stating facts.
Yeah, just, okay,
they did the best they could. They were two very hardworking, working class parents, so they didn't have much time to monitor me. Okay. I had to deal with everything myself.
Okay.
So something very typical that they would say is if I fell down and skinned my knee, I'd be like, look, I skinned my knee. They'd be like, well, that's what you get. In Chinese, they'd be like, that's what you get for doing X. ... Fill in the blank.
Yes.
Look, I flipped up my toenail. Looks like it's going to fall off. Well, that's what you get for messing around in the backyard.
Wow.
That was one of the most common quotes.
Another way to reframe that is they were teaching you accountability. Right?
And problem solving skills. Yes, exactly.
Dust yourself off and pick yourself up, right?
Exactly.
As they say.
Exactly.
Yes.
Another one of my favorite quotes from my parents is, this is from my dad specifically, which is nobody's gonna wipe your butt for you.
That is correct. Maybe 75% of your life if you're able to be old. That is an interesting. What did he mean?
What
by
do you
that?
tell me? You seem to be like this great like parent whisperer. What does that mean? You reframe that.
So say it again. What is it?
Nobody's gonna wipe your butt for you. Actually, my dad would do it in a much more vulgar way. He'd probably like, nobody gonna wipe your ass for you. That's a more accurate depiction.
Oh, so you were being very almost like regal royal by saying butt versus ass. You're like Meghan Markle. You're very proper.
Yeah, it's like the 60 Minutes version versus the
I see.
Cops version or something.
I think what he meant by that, if I may assume
okay, yes,
here,
go ahead. Let's clean this up again.
I think what he probably meant was that if you want to see a job done right, you got to do it yourself. Right? I am the master of reframing.
Gotcha. But these are harsh lessons to learn as a kid. But you know what? I became very resilient. I picked myself up by my bootstraps. And the last thing I want to say that kind of sticks out, because, we were kind of thinking about our parents' quotes, is my mom just repeating my name over and over again. She still does this to this day.
Okay.
So, my English name is Wanru. My Mandarin Chinese name is Wanru.
Okay.
And my Taiwanese nickname is Alu.
Alu.
Okay. So my whole life, it's been a lot of Alu. Mom likes to change the pitch.
Oh.
Alu.
Like she's singing.
Alu, come here. Alu. It's just different tonations and different variations.
Are you? Do you live in a mansion? I mean, is that maybe why she kept calling your name? Because it was just hard to reach you?
No, she just
was it an apartment?
Wants me to come directly to where she's at. So she may be in the garage and I may be in the attic. And she will employ this technique. She could be a block down the street. And no, literally in a Chinese supermarket, I think I was in the frozen food section and she was at the checkout and she called me in just that same
over
way.
The intercom. That would have been something, huh? Over the supermarket intercom.
Hello. Price check. Anyways, so I'm making fun of my parents, but these are two of the most memorable phrases that my parents have come up with. One, which is nobody's gonna wipe your butt, and the other one is just my name being repeated over and over again.
Right. And then what was the first one? Wasn't there something? There was another one, or no? Just those two.
Let's see. I think just wiping your butt.
Yes.
And shouting my name. Yep, that pretty much summarizes
what
it. What
did the shouting?
Oh, the first one. I'm sorry. Well, that's what you deserve.
Oh, that's what you get.
That's what you get.
Yeah, that's what you get. You know the one where your parents say that's what you get? I remember distinctly that our family was, when I was about 5 years old, we went to a park, a family park somewhere, and I was climbing the monkey bars.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I don't know, how tall are you at that age at 5 years old? Like you're what, like 2'4" or something? I don't know.
No
anyway,
idea.
You're really short. And I climbed the really tall monkey bars, and I was trying to hang upside down like my classmates and like the elder kids would do like at my school. And I tried to like hang from the monkey bars using my the back of my knees, you know what I'm saying, like hanging that way.
Yes.
And I did it, but then I fell on my back and I couldn't breathe. It knocked the wind out of me. And all I still remember this, my parents running to me and then saying to me, "You see, that's what you get. You don't have to do that at the monkey bars." And I'm like, so they're all scared. They're yelling at me in public. They're yelling at me at the park.
That's the only way they know how to express their concern.
I think they were just really scared and they didn't know how to deal with it. And so they're like, "That's what you get, huh?
So you also had the same version of that's what you get.
Yeah, I had
Mhm.
exactly the same. And I think that's what happens with a lot of parents where they're just so overprotective and a lot of them are super young and they don't know what to say, you
Exactly.
know?
Exactly. So, that's kind of the topic today because now we're older. We're our parents' age when they were raising us.
Yeah.
So now we have this perspective on them and maybe we can do some self-evaluation to see if we are turning into them
You
and
know,
whether that's good or bad.
yeah, I think that there's definitely pluses and minuses here.
Yes.
One of the
Yes.
pluses that I remember, something that my mom has always said that at the time I resented.
Mhm. Okay,
But
so
to
now this is going to be things your parents told you and that you now appreciate. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So what was that?
Okay, so she said to me, when I always, when I was a teenager and I wanted to be out with my friends, and I was like, you can't tell me what to do. I want to be with my friends, blah, 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 etc. She said, you know what? You can tell a lot about a person by the friends that they keep. You remember that, huh? And I'm like, whatever, I'm going to the mall. Right? And it's absolutely true now that I think about it, right? Like you can tell a lot about a person by the friends they keep. Do you agree
Right?
with that?
Like me and Golda, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're great. We're great
Yay.
friends. And
Game of Thrones.
Why Game of Thrones?
We're Game of Thrones fans.
Yeah. that's
Among many
right.
other similarities.
Dracarys.
Dracar Noir. Cool water.
Davidoff. Cool water.
What about you, Wanru? What do you believe that you can tell a lot about a person by the
Yeah.
friends that they keep?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I mean, your
How
mom is
so?
right. It just kind of encapsulates you, but they're like they reflect back to you what you aspire to or what you are or what you're comfortable with. Yeah.
It's kind of like that quote that you always see floating around on Pinterest where they say, you can, not only can you tell a lot about a person by the company that they keep, but also that you tend to be influenced by the five people that you hang around with the most, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
So that's another version of that.
So your mom actually had a quote that was Pinterestable.
Yeah, but before Pinterest was even conceived or
Yeah.
even thought of, it's not even in its embryonic stage.
So that's advice that you would definitely keep and you feel is useful and relevant today.
Absolutely. I definitely believe that I'm definitely very mindful of that because I think it's also a tool that you could use for self-evaluation too and self-growth. So I thought that it was a lot deeper than I think she imagined it would be.
Yeah.
She just didn't want me to get pregnant.
Exactly.
She just didn't want me to like be a drug addict or something.
understand.
That's the
gist of
the
it.
gist of it. Yeah.
Okay. So
What
want
about you?
Something that my parents said that turned out to be true?
Yeah, that you actually recognize as being a very wise thing.
Okay. Well, as I mentioned, my parents did not mind me too much. It was a lot of yelling and nagging, but not much life advice. A lot of told you so, see what happened, that's what you get. Again, I don't want to paint my parents out to be monsters, okay? Because they were just trying their best. They're just trying to get by. But I will share a piece of advice that my aunt actually gave to me.
Okay.
And in my whole family, only me and my aunt are, how should I say, amply endowed on the top half of our body.
You've got the boobage.
Exactly. We have got boobage.
The boobage action is relevant.
Is relevant.
Yes.
Here.
Okay.
And we got the BO and we got the boobage. It comes together. Okay? No one else in my family has BO. God bless them. And they don't have any boobage.
You
either.
have BO too?
Yeah, unfortunately.
I've never smelled you.
Okay.
Just, for archival purposes.
For the
I
record.
want to put it out there. I've never smelled you.
Thank you so much, Gold. I really appreciate that. And let's bookmark that. Because stay tuned for the girl you got to. Or no, yeah, girl you got to, because it's going to be relevant about the BO. But anyways, so my aunt was a hottie patati. She's gorgeous. 21. She worked at Army base. She was the person that would do the PAs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
She had the whole Army base just lusting after her. And she said to me from a young age, she goes, stand up straight. Stick out your chest, arch your back, look cute. God, I love,
I'm still
love,
working on the
I
good
love
look cute.
how Golda's trying to embody all that.
Okay.
And I was in my tomboy stage, so I really did not understand. My hair was a mess, and I was much heavier than I was now. That's good or bad, but I didn't really see the relevancy of it because I was really into Encyclopedia Brown and Nancy Drew and Beverly Clearly, and I was into reading. I was really into science. I was doing all these science projects.
Aww.
And I said,
little nerdy Wanru.
yeah, I was like, I just got second prize in my school science project, you know.
Aw.
So that's only because that other group had a team project and they had more people on the team, but I did this myself. So technically,
You won.
I
think.
won
Yeah.
in the first place of the solo project. Anyways, that's beside the point. The point is,
And you're not bitter about it at all. You're not hanging on to it.
No.
You're putting it behind you, right?
Put it behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, my dad loves to hold grudges.
Oh.
I'm not saying
So,
that.
yeah.
Okay. Well, anyways.
Interpret it as you will.
As you will.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I was really resistant to this
Okay.
advice because I thought it was very superficial because it's about the outside of your body.
Mm.
But then I realized that we live in a superficial society now. So either you go with the flow or you don't go with the flow, right?
Okay.
So then in my mid-30s, I had to turn around. I decided to focus more on my looks. Let's see what happens. It was almost like a social experiment. And people are much nicer to me now. Since I've become more feminine and tried to look more quote unquote attractive in society standards, I have gotten the bumper, my front bumper. I had free repair done on my front bumper.
Ooh.
Free donuts.
What?
My donut guy gives me free donuts.
How many donuts? I'm just curious.
In a dozen, he'll give me one extra and a free bear claw. You know, bear claws are premium.
Those are expensive.
They cost twice as much as a normal donut.
Wow.
I've gotten a lot of benefits, random things here and there. And she was right. There are some benefits to looking better. It's not everything,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
I don't, like if tomorrow, if I were to, a fairy would come and sprinkle dust on me and
Uh-huh.
it's the opposite of the Cinderella effect. I'd be turned into an ugly stepsister. I get by. I'm fine.
Okay.
Okay. But I understand what she was saying, which is that in this world, unfortunately, your outside appearance does matter and you can gain some benefits by being a hottie patati, much like herself. And I love my aunt. She looks amazing at like 84.
Ooh.
Amazing.
Okay.
She looks great. She has her nails done. She looks great.
Okay.
All right, so that's it. So be superficial and focus on your looks a little bit. So.
Sidebar real quick based on what your aunt said and how you're incorporating it into your life about looking hot and paying attention to your looks in a superficial society. Have you ever seen that movie I Feel Pretty with Amy Schumer?
Yes, I have. I love that movie.
Yeah, that's it. It was good. It was a great spirit. I get the spirit. What I really appreciated about that movie that I think maybe is something, this is maybe the reason why you're getting the free bear claw.
And that is not a euphemism for something else.
No, it's
I'm
it's literally the bear claw.
A donut. Okay, yeah.
From Yum Yum Donuts.
It's not something else. But anyways, go ahead.
Yes, maybe the reason why you're getting that free bear claw and that another extra donut is because you exude the confidence.
That's not it.
It's not it?
I think when I was more frumpy and I looked like a tomboy, I had more confidence to approach people.
Interesting.
Because I knew that if they were talking to me, they liked my personality.
Interesting.
Whereas now when guys talk to me, I'm always like, ugh, are you interested in my bod? Into my bosoms? Are you into my personality? I don't know. And now it's very off-putting. Like I kind of have to be a little bit more guarded, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Whereas before, the way I dressed, if there's a guy at, Togo's or Subway, I'd be like, hey, what's up? I just casually talk to him. I've always been very talkative and I've been very outgoing. But I do believe that for some people, having more confidence makes them more attractive. I had way too much confidence before. That's why I dressed the way I did. So I believe in my case, the benefits, I think I was the same inside, but when I changed the outside, I got different reactions.
Okay. Interesting,
right?
Yeah.
But you're right. It is about confidence and engaging people and being friendly too.
Okay. Gotcha. That's a good
But
one.
I was doing that in cargo shorts and nothing. No,
Nothing.
no donuts.
No donuts. Okay. Okay. And no free bumper.
No free bumper.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Well, something that I wanted to share that my mom has always said to me, and at the time, I used to think, oh, so that was that's young Golda.
Yeah.
Was she always used to say, and still continues to say it to this day. She says, "I'm going to tell it to you like it is."
Oh, I love that. Love it.
I'm going to tell it to you like it is.
And what does that mean in layman's terms?
In layman's terms, when I was a young filly, she would say this when I think, if I would say something like, "Oh my gosh, so-and-so doesn't talk to me anymore. Oh my gosh, this party's going on and nobody invited me," or so-and-so, or "Oh my gosh, I studied and I got a B," or whatever. Whenever I was whining and complaining or something along those lines, my mom would sigh and say, "I'm going to tell it to you like it is."
And give me a piece of advice she would give to you.
Yeah. So, for example, if she says, if I remember this, I had a 5th grade friend. You know how you have your best friend.
Yeah.
When you're young, I had a best friend. Her name was Mary Jane, and I'm like, "Mommy, Mary Jane said something mean to me to my other classmate. She said something mean." And my mom would be like, "I'm going to tell it to you like it is." And I'm like, "Okay. The world is not a kind place."
Wow.
And she goes, "And you know what? You're pretty. Mary Jane is ugly. You will always survive." My mom was obviously much like your aunt and was very into looking pretty and how beauty had currency.
Isn't that interesting? Because I think they grew up in a time when it was about survival.
Yes, for sure.
And you don't have a lot of time to use a lot of words to kind of soften the blow, right?
No.
Like, you're beautiful in
time
your own...
Time is of the essence. Yeah. Life and death here.
You're beautiful in your own way. You have your own... No, they don't have time for that.
No, this was not an after-school special sort of conversation.
So do you think that's relevant to this day where your mom was trying to cut to the chase? Do you think there's a place for that nowadays? Do you embrace that?
Oh, 100%. I think in our day and age, a lot of folks just want to get down to the nitty gritty. Like, how many times do people read books anymore or read articles anymore? They just want to go and click on those articles that say the top 5 ways to whatever, fill in the blank. It's not like this long essay about the State of the Union, right? People aren't going to have as much patience in reading that article versus...
It's like so funny. It's like,
right?
Could you imagine, like, I want to look up how to get rid of my cellulite, but then you got to read like
medical data? Who has time for that?
A scientific journal, and interspersed in there is like a little nugget about how to get rid of yourself. No, you want the boom, boom, boom.
No.
1, 2, 3.
I want to know the cream. I want to know the laser. And then I want to know the doctor. That's all I want to know. Give it to me in list form, right?
Do I rub my cellulite up counterclockwise or clockwise? Just give me the freaking instructions.
Yeah, I don't need to know the history. I don't need to know any of that stuff.
Right,
Who cares? Right. So I think that in our day and age where we need to be satisfied so immediately, that there is a place for how my mom gives advice. It's very much cut to the chase. She does the BuzzFeed version of telling it to you like it is.
Let me ask you, did you appreciate her style when you were younger?
No.
Let's cut to the chase. No. I did not appreciate it at all.
No, you know what? To be fair, at the time, I think that as I got older, I appreciated it more. But when I was a young kid, I was too immature to appreciate it. But as I got older, I definitely understood where she was coming from, and it made more sense to me.
Me too.
Yeah.
Like my aunt, she would always nitpick on my looks and what I was wearing and stuff like that. And she gave me this analogy, worst analogy ever. She's like, look, there are many stones, and some are big stones and some are small stones. If you don't hurry up, everyone is going to pick a big stone and you're left with a small stone. And you're like, do I really want a stone? I mean, if it was a scone, yeah, okay. Replace stone with scone or chocolate chip cookie. I understand this analogy, but this was
Yeah.
the worst analogy. But what she was trying to say is you're wasting your looks and your youth. And
Yes.
if you want to land a man, which is what she did, is key to her success.
Yeah.
You got to like laser in on that. But
And she grew up in a different era,
absolutely, she
different
absolutely
country.
She absolutely
right?
did. Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying everyone needs to be married and have kids like she did, but I think she found a way to get what she wanted, and she was just trying to share that with me. So,
yeah, I mean, that's I can
right now
definitely
I'm
see
like
that.
in the riverbed, and there's like little pebbles, and I'm just like, trying to get the little. There are no stones left. They're just all pebbles, and I'm just trying to like sip.
It's gravel.
It's gravel. I'm just teasing. I got a big stone recently. Oh, girl. No story for another day.
Uh-oh.
I got a granite
Well, you
block.
can't just do that. You can't just drop that stone and not say anything.
I found a granite block like the surface of like, what's that, El Capitan.
Oh,
like, yeah, okay. All right, off topic.
Okay.
All right, here we go. So now let me ask you, Golda.
Yes.
Do you think you're turning into your parents?
Yes. In some respects, I do feel like I am. And in other respects, I wish I were more like my parents.
Oh, okay. So let's go through that. Tell me how you are like them and whether that's good or bad.
Yeah. I think that where I'm like my mom, for instance, is I feel like that whole tell it to you like it is.
Yeah.
I really think that she's honed that skill in me.
Oh.
Where in this respect, in that I can hone in on what is happening in a situation and know how to solve it, or suggestions or make recommendations to help something become better. So that was something that my mom taught me, where she was able to look at something with a lot of fluff and a lot of like white noise
and get to the core of it.
Yeah, and she drills right to the nitty gritty, what really matters.
I totally agree with Golda. She does have this ability, because we'll be talking about a situation and she'll just say the most cutting, hilarious thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, Golda, where you have improved upon your mother's ability is that you know when to use it and you know when not to use it.
Yes.
It isn't a faucet that's on all the time.
Yes.
Right? So you may be collecting data and you know you're assessing the situation, but you're not going to cut people down.
No.
Or say anything that might be too hurtful. So you actually have a really good way with that.
Yeah, I don't have the killer instinct that my mom has. Never had it. My mom has a killer instinct, which I think is something that I admire.
Oh,
actually.
So you actually wish you were more like her.
Yeah, I do, because it is with that sort of killer instinct and sort of that ability to make decisions really quickly.
Yeah.
That executive decision-making ability that my mom has that I so admire. And that is a cousin to the whole tell it like it is.
Yeah.
Right? She can execute. She is the master at executing. My mom is the type of person where she does not just talk the talk and she can't back it up. Oh, she will back it up and then some.
Wow.
She will surprise you in ways that you cannot even imagine.
Do you feel like you are that way too, that you can execute? You're not just a talker?
Yeah, I think I can execute, and I think I've learned that from my mom. I know I can execute, but the level of just superhero quality that my mom can execute is it's in another universe, how my mom executes. It's a very, very admirable how she's able to do it. I can execute very well. I'm not trying to like put myself down, because I believe that I do execute very well, and have a lot of really wonderful traits and qualities, etc. But when I look at my mom and how and I've seen the consistency in how she's been able to execute at a level with a small 5'2" tiny little Filipino woman, who claims she doesn't speak English very well. And I'm like, girl, you got to show me how to do that, because you are a rock star. So I think that there's a lot about my mom that I wish I were more like her. In that respect, that's the one area I think she's got.
So that's a trait that you have from your mother that you greatly admire. What's a trait from your mother or your father that you're like, I wish I wasn't like them, but I'm becoming like them in this way.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like with my mom, I think we've talked about this before, but my mom grew up in a third world country, and she, was raised by folks who survived the war. So she grew up in with a mindset of scarcity.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of scarcity in where she lived. She was one of 8 children. So there was always this competition, to just survive, right? So I think that my mom is again a master at a lot of different things, and
At survival.
she is a survivor for sure. That is just an understatement. But yeah, and I feel like in her efforts to be a survivor, you have to, pinch here and there. You have to sacrifice here and there. And some of the times it's operating with this level of scarcity. So, as an example, my mom, when there were sales, right, at like Rite Aid or Duane Reade or the supermarket or wherever, she would hoard a lot of these things that were on sale and put them in the hallway closet and then never use it, right? And just keep it there. But the comfort of having those things was a lot bigger than I think she realized. So I think that that's something that I do to a certain extent too, or like Bath and Body Works. I'm like, I'm hoarding that hand soap, boy. I'm like a squirrel, like socking away the nuts for the winter. Is that what they do? I'm just guessing.
Yeah,
but,
they do.
Oh, they do that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's me. So I feel like that's something that I do, that I kind of
gotcha.
picked up from my mom. And the good news is that I'm aware of it. I think it made sense for my mom at the time. Doesn't necessarily make sense for me. Maybe a little bit of it does, but for the most part, I definitely want to operate from a mindset of abundance versus scarcity, right?
And that they will have new fragrances of hand soap at Bath and Body Works.
That is my Achilles heel, is Bath and Body Works, those hand soaps.
Yeah.
I just, I'm not just saying that because I want them to be a dream sponsor, but for real, like I look out for the sales. I'm like all over. I combine coupons. Anyway, don't get me started. What about you, Wanru? What's something that you are taking away from some of these things that you learned from your parents?
Yeah. So I'm going to break it down for my mom and my dad.
Okay.
So from my mom, one of my most cherished characteristics that I've inherited from her is that she's very easygoing and she can laugh at herself.
I like that.
She just loves to laugh.
Yeah.
She's very easygoing, pleasant natured, non-confrontational, easygoing. So I think that's where I get that side of my personality from.
Mm-hmm.
But then my mom, her negative characteristic is that she likes to throw her hands up and just go, I don't know what's going to happen. Whatever happens. It's going to be a disaster. Oh, God. She's very fatalistic or almost like it's going to be a huge, what's the word I'm looking for here? But
disaster?
Yeah, she panics.
Oh.
She panics easily. Everything is an emergency. Everything's horrible. She has literally run up to me, barged into my room and said, emergency. And I go, what is it? My iPhone won't turn on.
Oh.
Like I thought that she was having a heart attack or something. But she is just this extremely, what's the word I'm looking for?
Everything is so heightened with her.
Heightened, yeah.
Right?
She panics easily.
Yeah.
And I'm cool as a cucumber. You
are so cool as a cucumber.
Literally, the beams, the rafters could be on fire and falling down. I'd be like, well, I do have a fire extinguisher. I should probably
You're
take.
level-headed.
Level-headed.
In those scenarios.
Yeah, so that's one characteristic I don't share with her. And maybe because she's so panicky, I'm non-reactive.
Oh, okay.
And also, I feel like I'm a very resourceful person because I don't want to be like my mom where she's like, I don't know, what's this letter from the IRS? What does this mean? It's like, no, I'll just Google it. I'll look it up. I'll figure out the tax laws. I'll handle it. So I handle situations much more than my mom does. So as you can, this kind of probably frames my mother a little bit better as to why she's always like, hello. It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when you just don't know what you're doing, you panic and you just rely on someone
You
else.
know what I just thought about? Maybe when she calls you alu alu, you know
Yeah.
how like in the Buddhist practice they say in a lot of meditation practice they say
Yeah.
and there's a calming effect to that.
Okay, let's try it.
Maybe. Oh, you want to do it right now?
Alu. I gotta get this working.
Alu.
Try it yourself.
Alu. Yeah, you know,
That's very
there's something.
calming.
I think maybe the reason why she does it is that is her
Except that hers is high pitched and shrill. But yes, it could be a soothing thing if I rush over and help her out, which I do.
Yeah, it's like a
Okay.
pacifier for her.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's my mom, positive
Okay.
and negative. My father has the best sense of humor.
Aw, do you think you get your sense of humor from your father?
100%.
No kidding.
My father would mimic us right to our face,
Okay.
laugh at our foibles and follies.
Oh, this is taking a turn.
No, see, I'm laughing because it's funny.
through
right?
the tears.
Through the tears, there is
through the
laughter.
trauma. Okay.
He's very witty. On the side of being, he disparages people a little too much. Okay, so my humor is that I don't put people down, but he sure knows how to assess the situation and make a joke of it, usually in a negative sort of put down way. But I do the same thing, but just not necessarily with that meanness that my father had. So that is my blessing that I've had from my dad. So I must cherish that. And, you know, like we still laugh at jokes and, you know, like, you know, he can joke around with me if he's in a good mood. Okay. If he's in a good mood. So we do share that. The worst trait about my father is that he is extremely hot-headed. He has the worst temper.
Oh, okay.
Oh gosh, very stubborn, huge temper. So from that, I learned to not be that way. I learned to sort of restrain myself and try to practice compassion to others. So I also learned a lot from my father in that way. But lastly, I would say I'm becoming like my father. You mentioned your mother likes to hoard.
Yeah.
My father is very pig-headed and likes to do things on his own, figuring it out on his own.
He doesn't ask for help.
No, he doesn't. So I'm trying to practice that. I try to ask for help from people, get different perspectives. Ultimately, I will make my own decision. But before, I felt like I had to like figure it all out myself. When there's no need to. You know, you can just ask people. You can just there's the internet nowadays, which is a huge resource, but even more so to just kind of bounce ideas off of people. Because I guess I felt like if I asked people for help or ideas that I had to do what they told me to. And I realized, you know what? I can ask for it and still make my own decision. And because my dad is so resistant to taking advice from others, he's literally like kind of put himself in a corner because the amount of information and the new ideas he's exposed to is getting less and less. He has a more limited and narrow path, you know? So I don't want to be like that. I want to always be open-minded and be able to get new information and get some perspectives from other people.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's value in that collaborative mindset.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right?
So that's what I learned from each parent, good and bad. And you know what? None of these things that I say about them I despise because I feel like every part of them is a part of me. Right? And it's like, oh, this is now we're getting to the PSA situation.
Oh.
But now that I'm older and I'm the age my parents was when they were raising me, I realize that they're just like normal people. Your parents are multidimensional, normal people. They're flawed. I am flawed. I have strengths and I have weaknesses. And I change the way I related to them more as a peer versus as this authority figure who was sort of shaping my life. Now I have come into the role where I have exceeded my parents in every way. I have more education than my parents. I'm healthier than my parents were at their age. And I have a better social network. I'm more emotionally balanced. So I think it's time for me to step up in terms of the way I relate to them. So to try to, the way I relate to them is I try to, how should I say, guide them as they might guide me. As the parent-child relationship has shifted a little bit. So I'm now the parent. So
interesting. It's interesting that you say that you have surpassed in different ways than your parents,
And I think
given the age.
I don't have any kids, but I think that for every parent, you always hope your children,
Yeah, that's
right, surpass
exactly.
you
Yeah,
in some way.
my parents have always said that to me. They always say, "Our wish for you is that you surpass us in every way. That is why we came to this country. This is what we want
Mm-hmm.
from you.
Mm-hmm.
You do better than us. We want that. This is not, that we will feel bad about ourselves if you do better than us."
Mm-hmm.
And the sad truth is, my parents are doing better than me. I don't think I'm doing as well as my parents. So I've got some catching up to do. Yeah, I mean, I think that there's, when I thought about like how our parents really, I mean, they're our first authority figure.
Yes.
They're the ones that
Mhm.
show us the ropes of life, right? I
Mhm.
mean, they're the ones that are creating these pathways in our brain and how we handle, life's ups and downs and things like that. I think there is a certain amount of inevitability that we have to borrow from our history. And where is that history? It's, guess what? Our parents. That's how we learned a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
So maybe that's your first initial go-to is, what would my mom do? What would my dad do? Or, in another way of looking at this, if you've had other father or mother figures in
Oh,
your
yeah.
life, right? Like your aunt, you were saying,
Mhm.
or other people in your life that were influential for you and in shaping you, you think about what would they have done, or what would they be telling me if they were in this situation, right?
Mhm.
So I think, good, bad, or indifferent, whether you want to emulate or if you want to be like your parents, I think that there's definitely always going to be some aspect of you thinking about what they would do or what they have taught you. So there's a little bit of that. I think that where it can potentially be different is your awareness of the situation.
Yes. Yes.
That's where you can change it. You're not doomed, right? I think that was one of the questions what we asked each other, Wanru, was, okay, now that we, are turning into our parents, does that mean that we're doomed, or is that a bad thing? Or, or are we doomed to be, if it was a negative experience, are we you just kind of, sit back because your destiny is to be like your parents?
Mhm.
Do you believe that to be the case?
No, because unlike my mother, who throws up her hands at any small thing that comes in her way,
Yeah.
I handle things myself, not always perfectly, but I'm not afraid to try new things.
Yeah.
And unlike my father, I don't fly into a rage and then throw a newspaper across the room. So that's good. That's definitely good. And also, I have a larger social network than my father does. He's very isolated. So no, you're not doomed, but it's good to practice an awareness because that's the cloth you're cut from.
Yeah.
So just be aware, and just try to sort of, retain the parts that you're proud of and that you want to nurture.
Yeah, and you can also add your own style to things, because when you were talking about how you got your humor from your dad, I started thinking to myself as you were talking. Yet I was also still listening to you, Wanru.
Okay.
I was thinking,
which one of your parents thinks about what they're going to say next and is very self-absorbed?
no.
I'm just teasing. I'm teasing. That's my dad's harsh side coming out.
That's my dad.
Oh, your dad has a very good sense of humor.
Oh my God. Well, actually, both of my parents have a fantastic sense of humor.
I see it.
In different ways. My mom is a lot more dry. She's got that dry humor.
Yeah.
Like that sarcastic one-liner, bam, and you're like hit from here to next week. My dad is a lot more tongue-in-cheek. He's the practical joker.
Yeah.
Definitely the charming, funny person.
Oh, I see it.
He was a very charming, funny person. But I started thinking about that, like where I get my humor. And then another thing about me too is I love music. And where did I get this love of music? My parents, both of them, huge music fans, huge. And they were very discerning about music. And I learned how to be discerning and appreciative of mastery of music by my parents. That was the example they gave me. The thing that I will not do, I forgot to mention, something that my dad did a lot, in all seriousness, was when we would go on international flights, he would lie down on the floor and sleep.
Where, in front of your feet?
Yes.
Like you have three chairs together, and he'd lie down on the
Yeah,
ground.
he'd lie on the floor.
I want to say I'm not above doing that. If I got
you
three
know,
chairs together, I would do that in a heartbeat.
That is the only thing I will not take with me, as a example from my father, is I will not sleep. Because you know what they do on those airplane floors? They're disgusting.
Oh, I see.
You, the woman who had to disinfect hazmat suit and all your back seat with those. Anyway, that's for the next segment. But yes, I think that's the thing that I probably will not do ever.
All right, so let's wrap up.
Yes.
By doing a hypothetical situation.
Okay.
All right.
Hit
you
me.
and I, Golda, are going to have a child.
Okay. Oh, wouldn't that be nice? What a cute and charming child that would be.
Okay, here we go. Somebody's already thinking.
Yeah,
they're
pretty.
Okay, somehow
we have a kid.
Modern science has created this marvelous miracle.
Yes.
Where you and I are going to put our eggs together and we're going to have a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to carry the baby, first of all?
I think you should, because you rock climb and it's basically the same thing.
Okay, great. My vagina is my uterus.
It's like rock climbing.
Rock climbing, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm carrying the baby.
Okay.
Let's pick the characteristics we would both want for the baby. Like, I'm going to pick some from you.
Like the ingredients in the recipe?
Yeah, like we could pick it, because this is going to be a mutant test tube baby.
Okay.
I want Golda's blank, blank, blank. And you say, I want Wanderer's blank, blank, blank. And then we'll say for ourselves what we don't want from ourselves, okay?
Oh, not of each other? That would be interesting.
Trying to be tactful here. We don't want to get in a fight before our test tube.
The end of the podcast.
There goes our test tube, baby, even before it's born. Okay, so one characteristic I would like for the baby to have is Golda's beautiful smile.
Ah, that's very sweet. I would like that as well.
Everything. It's going to be 100% Golda, baby.
Yes. Yes. I like that. I have a smile. I love that. I will say that is a super strength of mine, is my smile. Not that you should be smiling all the time, or that women should be expected to. I'm just saying. Anyway. All right. Okay. So the thing that I would say about Wanru that I would love for our test tube baby, fictitious test tube baby to have, is her kindness to everyone and anyone, regardless of their background or what they have to offer, anything. Just your overall kindness.
Oh, that's lovely.
And of humanity.
Yes. Oh, that's wonderful. That's very nice. Okay. And love of animals.
Yes. Arnie and Archie. Yes. And etc.
Okay. I would pick Gold. By the way, in the smile, I would include her mole. It's just the mouthful region will be included in this test tube baby.
Okay. I like that.
I will pick Golda's ability to bring a performance aspect to whatever she does.
Wow.
Because she's a performer.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll take that.
Golda's like, yeah, I like this game.
I like that. Okay.
This. Our test tube baby is turning out great.
It's just a brilliant, like Pulitzer and Fulbright, you name it. I would say, and on that note, I would want our test tube baby to be as smart, or if not smarter, than Wanru, because I consider Wanru brilliant. You have not even scratched the surface on this podcast. She's very, very intelligent.
Oh,
I would want
lovely.
our child to be intelligent.
Oh, okay. So our baby's already amazing.
Where is this kid?
Where's this technology?
I love it. I love this kid.
Okay, all right. So now let's
scramble up some eggs.
So now let's pick for ourselves.
Yeah.
One character we would not want to like pass over. So I mean, this could be something from, like your ancestors. Okay, I'll go first, okay?
Okay.
So I don't want them to have the BO gene. Because nobody in my family has a BO gene, and you don't have BO.
No, I don't think so.
See?
Do I? No.
I want them to have Golda's lack of BO.
I smell like lavender and vanilla.
I want them to have lavender and vanilla sweat glands.
Yes.
And so that's one thing I wouldn't want them to have. Another thing I wouldn't want them to have is probably I'm having a hard time thinking about my own personal flaws here. I would say, okay, I have I consider myself sometimes to be a people pleaser. So I would
Mm.
not want them to be so inclined to be kind, but you don't have to please people all the time because
Mm.
you pick the kindness, which is a great trait to have, but don't be such a pushover.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't really see that, but okay.
Whatever you say.
Well, if you say so.
If you say so, just don't get mad, Golda. Don't throw a newspaper. Okay, go ahead.
So,
And what about yourself?
so something that I wouldn't want about me, I mean, definitely the scarcity thing,
Yeah.
because that's something that I'm working on right now, is to change my mindset from one of scarcity to one of abundance. So I would say that. I would also say that something that I recognize in myself is I'm extremely analytical. Sometimes I've been told to a certain further more than I need to go. I definitely love analyzing, and I can really like turn things over and over and over again ad nauseum. So I think that's something that tempered in the right way
Yeah.
could be just right.
Like a dash of an analytical, but not too overly
Yeah.
getting stuck in their head, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the last thing that I would say is to be a lot more, how shall I say, to be a lot more, I don't know. I think a lot less about what I think people should see and a lot more about what I think of me. Is that weird?
What does that mean?
Does that make sense? What does that mean? I think that, I don't know. I mean, without getting into this huge philosophical conversation, it's in, and maybe sometimes even partnered up with your thoughts of people pleasing,
Yeah.
is a lot of times, like sometimes when I look at these videos, I'm like, oh yeah, that's me. And then when I say something else, I'm like, oh, that's not as me.
To be authentic.
Yeah, I think a really great, something I admire so in people is when they can be 100% authentic.
Oh, yes.
Oh, man, there is nothing sexier than an authentic person.
Yes, I agree.
Nothing sexier. Honey. My honey is 5,000% authentic.
Oh, I agree.
And that's so great.
And how about this? So we have the Ganru baby, and we throw in a dash of our producer.
Oh my gosh.
Who is lending us the authenticity.
Yeah.
And we have
rule of the world.
Perfect super monster baby that's going to take over the world.
Yeah, totally. Let's do it. Come on, science. Get with it, science. Is that right? Should we say science? Is science what we're supposed to be like?
That sounds good to me.
We're calling upon science.
Witchcraft or science. Either one. Help us out.
Hey now, whatever it takes.
We're ready for this baby to come.
Yeah, I got some hair strands you could put in the ingredients. Don't they do that? Like they take like DNA from people?
I've already cut off a piece of your hair.
Oh.
Without you knowing.
Oh, and when you were clipping your toenails earlier, I happened upon it and put it in a Ziploc.
All right, perfect.
We've arrived at our segment, which we call Girl, You Got To. I tried to switch it up in terms of the melody, and I think I did not succeed very well. But anyway,
your voice sounded like a 14-year-old boy's going through puberty, but it had a certain.
That's what I was going for.
Yeah.
That's what I was going for. So in our segment, which we call Girl, You Got To, we talk about life hacks, tips and tricks, things that we recommend to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that with that in mind, Miss Wanru, what is your Girl, You Got To?
Girl, you got to wipe down the interior of your car once in a while.
Ooh, girl, why you gotta wipe down the interior of your car once in a while?
Well, I know most people take their car to their car wash, or they might want, wash it themselves.
Fancy.
What do you do?
Me? I wait for the rain.
What about the interior?
Well, if my raincoat should happen upon the interior of my car, or, if I have like a Kleenex around, I'll just kind of like wax on, wax off.
Now,
You know what I'm saying?
Think about that, Golda. The interior of your car is the dirtiest place in the world.
Is it? Oh, you know what? If you put a black light in there, I'm sure you'll find some crazy things.
Very relevant. Bookmark the black light thing because this is gonna come back.
Yeah.
So I have a little bit of OCD anyways. And I
Okay.
do things like eat in my car, drink coffee in my car. And there's always these splashes and things like that, right?
Mhm.
And the interior of my car is dark, so you don't really know what's
Oh,
happening.
good. That's helpful. It hides things.
It hides things, but that's not necessarily a good thing.
Oh, it isn't?
Because, like you said, it's there. It's like building up. So occasionally, even if I don't wash the exterior, I always wipe the interior with some, spray cleaner. I love the Method spray cleaners and a microfiber cloth. Especially the steering wheel, the thing, the radio dial, and then the handles where you open and close the door. Because that's where you're always. Right? You're always touching those
things.
areas. And you'd be surprised at the amount of grime that comes off of those things. Don't forget to neglect the cup holders. Definitely.
Yeah.
But I had a more urgent, pressing need to clean my car interior because I mentioned I ran into Nicholas at Enza Borrego.
Okay.
And as we were driving around the state park, I saw these two lovely girls, hitchhikers, backpackers. It was like a hot day. And they're like walking on the side of the road. They look tired. So I offered them a ride.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Very pleasant. I dropped them off at the visitor center. Nice looking girls. Practice some, be wary of who you pick up. But these girls, it was broad daylight. I was with my two other girlfriends and they looked very friendly. They looked like, young, healthy girls, not vagrants.
This is like how the start of a Jordan Peele film starts off.
It sure does.
Like, hey, they look harmless.
They look harmless. Two white girls, backpackers.
It's like, 5 heads.
Well,
Not so much.
Let's just say, although they were pleasant and nothing bad happened, after they left, there was a lingering odor
Ew.
in my backseat,
Ew.
which for days I could not identify. And
They had bad BO.
I was like, is it me? Is it the
Oh,
seatbelt? Is it the
no.
vents? I spent days
Ew.
sniffing around my car. And I already have OCD. I already like to keep my car very
Okay.
tidy. And I was like, where is this smell coming from?
Uh-huh.
Unfortunately, it was coming from the two back seats. Like the seats.
Ooh, like the butt area?
It was butt
seats, you mean?
It was a
Ooh,
ass smell.
they had park butt smell.
State park butt
State?
ass stank
Ooh.
on my
no.
Prius interior.
Were they wearing shorts? They weren't? Thank goodness.
They were wearing tights.
Ew, they were wearing tights?
Tights.
Like opaque tights?
Yeah, like
Why were they wearing tights at a state park?
girls wear tights all the time. That's what they wear nowadays.
Was it cold?
It was warm-ish. They were like crop tights. The point is, whatever they were
Oh,
wearing,
like leggings, you mean?
leggings.
Okay,
Yeah, no,
okay.
not tights. Like
I'm thinking
pantyhose.
black tights that you
No,
wear
no,
under
no.
like a bohemian dress.
No,
not like
no,
that.
no. They were
Okay.
not nude. I would not have picked them
Okay.
up, but they were partially nude.
Okay.
They were wearing workout leggings.
Ew, that is just a petri dish of bacteria.
Those synthetic fibers do nothing.
There is no cotton in those things.
If not-
Nothing is breathing. It's like a furnace.
It's like a plastic web of which to catch all those bodily fluids and to breed them with the bacteria.
Yay, E.
Oy.
coli.
Anyways, after I
Ew.
identified the smell and ran gagging out of my car,
Oh.
I employed my technique, which is patented, which is I get some 409 or some other heavy duty method, works great. Spray cleaner, I spray down the interior, the fabric surfaces. It works totally fine. Don't be afraid, just go for it. Then I get a microfiber cloth,
Okay.
wet it and damp and just wring it out until it's damp. And then I don't know why I'm turning British, but here we go. So
Because
then
British people are so clean?
they're so fastidious in their hygiene habits. You rinse out this microfiber cloth very gently, and then you gently swab the surfaces of your
Oh.
interior, and until all the bodily fluids have been lifted up.
And then do not smell the microfiber afterwards, regardless of how curious you might be. Don't do it, I say.
Immediately throw the microfiber cloth into the furnace.
Burn it. Let it burn. Oh.
Okay, so you rinse the microfiber cloth. It's
Ew.
really good for like soaking up stuff, right? Then you crack your windows open. You park it in the sun. You bake that shit 400 degrees Fahrenheit. You just gotta cook it. You know, you cook it with the 409 in the
broil
water.
it. Put it on the broiler.
And guess what? No smell. Eradicated. 100% eradicated.
So the lesson here is do not be a good Samaritan. Just let them fucking walk. Too bad, smelly girls, with your Lululemons, leggings, or whatever the fuck it is.
And I mean, they look great. I mean, they look like they're stylish and whatever, but they were super smelly. Next time, I will gladly pick them up, but I gotta put like a tarp over the back of that shit because it was just.
You know what? Maybe the reason why it was smelly is because. So it was both sides?
It was both. It was the two seats where they sat.
It wasn't just the one smelly girl. It was two smelly girls.
Two smelly asses.
Two pairs of asses were smelly.
Yes.
You know, maybe they bought their Lululemon leggings new.
Let's not, because Lululemon could be a potential dream sponsor. Let's not brand it.
Okay.
Let's not brand it.
99-cent store, but I shop there, so let's not use them either as an example. Lululemon? 99-cent store.
Unbranded.
Yes.
Tights.
Yes, generic tights. Wow. I wonder what the scent was.
It smelled like ass. That's how I knew it was them. I'm like, what?
It didn't smell like Bath and Body Works, like
no
body spritz.
Why would I mind that smell? Why would I be trying to identify ocean breeze or coconut vanilla? No, I was like, what?
Champagne toast.
What smells bad in here? What smells like ass? Was it the ass of those two sweaty girls?
Wow.
It was just, detective work. 1 and 1 is 2.
Man.
All right. Anyway.
I
think I've gone on too long, but have I convinced you to wipe down your car interior?
Yes, you certainly have.
Okay, girl.
You know, and the idea that you actually broiled the seat so that you could disinfect it in that manner, I would think that would make it worse, but you're saying it actually helps.
You have to broil it after you've cleansed it and soaked it. You gotta remove the offending liquids.
What if you don't live in a hot climate? Do you turn the heater on, or does that make it worse?
Good question. I don't have a solution. Only if the humidity is less than 20% and your average temperatures are above 75 degrees can I help you with this scenario.
You know what? When I did theater, darling, I used to do theater, and we would wear the same clothes every performance, right? That could get a little rank after a while.
Right. What did you do?
I remember the costume designers would have those spray bottles full of vodka and water.
Oh, hey.
And you spritz the clothes with this vodka water concoction, and there was no smell.
Hey, you know what? It was it half?
I think so, something like that.
You know what I'm going to do today, right?
You're going to get your vodka bottle from under your seat and attach a little spritz on there?
Basically, yeah, take the vodka bottle out of the passenger side seat where I always keep it,
for emergencies only. I mean, you're not a hooligan.
I'm going to spray my entire interior with this vodka thing. And you know what? If I get pulled over, it's all good.
You'll just be like, I'm sorry, man. We got 2 BO chicks that I picked up at
Anza Barrega
at a state park. That's not suspicious.
Oh, anyways, girl, you got to clean your car interior and spray it down with vodka. What about you, Golda? What is your girl you got to?
Well, similar and along this vein of outdoors, my girl you got to is, girl, you got to get some sunshine or sunlight.
Those girls were trying to do that when they got all hot and sweaty.
Yeah, and here's the thing about that is they probably were able to get a healthy dose of vitamin D and melatonin and all kinds of good stuff with getting natural sunlight midday. Mm-hmm. But it ended up making them like sweat and like stinking. So there's pluses and minuses to getting sunlight. But the reason
why do you say that? Yeah.
The reason I bring this up is that a producer was talking about how she would get sleepy like after lunch, that midday slump that everybody does, right? And one of the ways that she combated that was to take the time to actually physically go outside, and sit in the sunshine, and that was literally like getting her batteries rejuvenated. Yeah. So I was thinking about that, then I looked into some benefits of actually getting sunshine and sunlight. I mean, we're such a sunscreen community, right? Like sunscreen everywhere. I mean, I'm guilty of it too, where I put it on my hands, I put it on my arms, I put it on everywhere, sunscreen. But I think that there's definitely value in actually getting midday sun because that is a natural way for you to get vitamin D. And as I was looking at other ways to get this, this benefit, one thing that I learned was the closer to the equator you are, the better chances of getting really good doses of vitamin D, apparently. And if you're darker toned, you need to stay in the sun a little bit longer in order to get the benefits of it. If anything, I think that it's nice to break your day up, to go outside. I've done that before, going to work and, getting stuck behind your desk and, barely getting up only to go to the bathroom or something. But actually physically going outside, taking a little walk, that's a really great way and cheap way to sort of recharge. So my girl you got to is, girl, you need to get some sunlight.
That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah. And, and don't worry about like the freckles or the sunburn. I mean, you're not going to be out there for like hours upon hours. You're only going to be outside for like 10, 15 minutes.
Exactly.
Really.
Yeah. There's actually a guy at my work. He goes out into the smoking area. He's a smoker, obviously. And what he does is while he's smoking after lunch, he lifts up his pant legs to reveal his very smooth. He's an older Chinese gentleman, so his legs are very smooth and hairless. And he just tans his legs. And he, every time I walk by, he's like, vitamin D, vitamin D.
Does he still have his socks on? I'm just curious.
He has socks and shoes on. He just lifts up his pants, his trousers, to expose more surface area.
Oh. Does he pull it up to his thighs?
Above the knee.
Oh, scandalous.
Very scandalous. And let me just say, he has enviable legs. He ain't got no scars or veins like I do.
Okay.
Very nice legs.
He must know something we don't know. I mean, anywhere you can get it, right? Like, like when you can't be all like going outside naked in order to get the full benefits of sunshine. So wherever you can get it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is a great girl you got to. Thanks for sharing, Golda.
You got it.
Well, I feel like I have conceived, reared, and birthed a child.
And sent them off to college.
In this episode.
Legally.
Your child applied just like everybody else and got admitted like everybody else.
And wrote their own college essays.
And took their own SAT tests.
All by themselves.
All by themselves. And you should be proud, Golda. Just like I'm proud to have brought this podcast to a conclusion.
Yes, as am I. As am I. So, Wanru, you're so proud. What are you proud about? What are you taking away with you?
Reflecting back on this podcast, what I will take away with me is this image of your mother with her rack of like cans and cans of corned beef.
Yeah.
Or toothpaste or whatever she got on clearance. It's a learned behavior that your mother learned from probably her mother, right?
I would say so,
and
yes.
possibly her mother before that. And without self-evaluation, you would never have realized that you learned it subconsciously, and you wouldn't have been able to make the choice whether or not you wanted to continue with that behavior, right?
Yep.
And just because it's been ingrained in you, it's part of your DNA. It literally may be part of your DNA. Does this mean you have to continue? Is it the right thing for you going forward? You make that choice now.
Yeah.
So that's an amazing thing I learned, which is that there's something your mother was passing on to you just unknowingly, and you were picking up unknowingly. But now you get to make that choice whether you want to, hoard the corned beef, or if you want to throw that newspaper across the room,
Yeah.
or just fly off the handle. I'm talking about my own father now.
Oh, or shifting
your mom
focus.
Yeah, your mom never did those things. Your mom, just to be clear, her mom never threw newspapers or threw shoes or whatever. That's all my dad. So I make the choice not to blow up at someone, fly off the handle.
Yeah.
But I can also embrace the good parts of me. That's what I'll be taking away is the corned beef.
Good. I think I agree with you. I mean, awareness is a beautiful thing, and it's a very helpful tool. It's going to serve you very well.
Yeah.
So awareness, I can see that being a good takeaway. That's not my takeaway, though.
Yeah. What's yours?
My takeaway is something that you mentioned earlier, where you talked about those hitchhikers and picking up the hitchhikers and the consequence of picking up those hitchhikers. And your heart was in a good place. You were trying to help them out. It was a hot day, I'm assuming, right?
Very hot.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of walking around. You're
Yep.
just trying to help them out. I get it. You're a good person, and don't ever change. KIT, have a great summer. But what I will say is the learning that I'm taking away from today is the next time you think about picking up a hitchhiker, before they even enter your car, you have to ask them
Smell their butt.
You do have to ask them that question is, I'm not coming on to you, but may I sniff your butt? That's all you got to do. I don't mean anything by this. You don't have to be conceited about it. This is not for anything. Just relax. I just had a bad experience in the past that I don't want to repeat. That's all I'm trying to do here.
Okay, Golda, but what if their butt really smells? And then what are you going to say? I can't give you a ride because you have a smelly butt?
That is exactly what you are going to say. You're going to say, tough luck, buddy. You should have washed your butt, or at least the cheek parts, before going on this walk
Can
today.
you say it like how your mom would say it?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Your butt acreage is it's baho. Baho in Tagalog means it stinks. It stinks so much. It stinks so hard. That's what she would say.
And then what if the people were like, can I get a ride? What would she say?
Oh, do I look like an Uber to you? No, you don't have an app for me. Bye. Okay, go with God. That's what she would say.
Oh my God, your mom's amazing. You should
She
definitely
is.
embrace more parts of that. Okay, wait.
Yes. So
What-
sniff their butts,
No,
but tell them to not be conceited
No,
about
just
it.
put a tarp on the back of your car and you're good.
But doesn't that make the butt sweat more? I think it does.
But tarps.
There's
you
no
could just-
ventilation, girl. You're the scientist.
You can wipe down the tarp. Wait, the smell doesn't penetrate.
I'm not wiping
Anyways.
nothing down. I'm throwing that shit out. Why would you put a tarp that you're just collecting the dew on the tarp?
The ass do.
The ass dew.
The mountains do. Or is it
And
the
then you can just
Bali?
pour
The
the-
Bali do.
Pour the dew out. The liquid. Mmm.
Oh,
See,
God.
are we advocating for picking up
One thing
hitchhikers?
for sure, neither of my parents would have ever picked up a hitchhiker.
Hell no.
Ever.
Hell no.
And for that, I am a more evolved person.
You're woke.
I'm woke, girl.
You're woke to the hitchhiker's plight of no car. My mom would say, they poor or something. They don't have a transportation.
They
Ganyan,
did.
ganyan, ha? They think that they're so good. They're walking like a bunch of homeless. But they're wearing designer bag. They can afford a car. I'm not going to pick them up. That's what they get. That's what they get, huh?
Okay. All right. Oh, God, that's just too good.
That's what I would say.
It's too good, too good.
Yeah.
How about this? Let's close out our show like we normally do, but we have to do it like our parents. So,
Oh, shoot.
okay.
All
so
right.
Go ahead. Golda's going to give her spiel like her mom, and I'm going to give it like my mom or dad.
Oh, sige. My name is Maria Clara Escalona Chavez Inquito, ha? Okay. If you enjoyed my daughter's podcast, I don't know how she makes money on doing this one, but she continues to do it. I don't know why. But if you enjoyed today's episode, you should kind of like tell your friends and your family to subscribe.
Ha, what friend?
You just push the
I don't like anyone.
You push the button. You push it. The
What
one that says
button?
subscribed. It's red.
What?
You subscribe.
What subscribe? What is that?
That means that every time some new episode come up, then you will get it automatically.
What's an episode?
An episode is like a show, like MASH. Remember the show MASH?
Ah,
That's
yeah.
my favorite.
That's a good show. Actually, I agree with you on that one.
That's
Yeah.
what an episode is. It's like that episode when Klinger almost gets out of the army. That was a good one.
A good one.
Okay.
Go on.
So you're going to tell all your family, all of your friends to subscribe. Press the you push the red button that says subscribe. Because my daughter and her friend Wanru, they work so hard. They work so hard for no money. They got no money.
Yeah, total waste of time.
So what will help
Hey,
them?
you know what? You know how many if you actually multiply how many hours they work by how much money they make, it's a negative number.
Oh, I know. I wonder about that from my daughter. Like, what kind of judgment? Anyway, so she continued because she's like a creative, whatever. I don't
Yeah.
understand.
Okay, so my daughter told me that if you like this podcast, whatever a podcast is, you can listen to it on Apple, on
What is that?
Google. I don't know.
Apple?
I'm reading it. Apple is the thing you
What is
eat.
apple? Oh, the apple like you put with the ano.
Google is
Like
the thing you put on
like
your eye to
like the
protect
fruit
it.
salad with the apple.
Yeah,
Okay,
apple.
okay.
Google is the thing you put on your eye to protect it when you go underwater.
What's it?
Google.
Oh, the Google.
Yeah, Spotify.
Yeah, you know what you do so it doesn't fuck up. They teach
You
you in
spit
the
in it.
island.
Spit.
That one, and you put the bus line. The
You-
bus line.
You went on a bus line?
The bus line petroleum, ano?
Oh no,
The
no.
bus line. You put
Yo.
it in the rim of the goggles.
And that really work?
Yeah, so that doesn't get the poggy.
You have to pay for that. Spit is free. Okay. Spotify. I don't even want to begin to guess what a Spotify.
I don't know what that is.
Overcast. You know,
Ah.
like when it's dark outside because the sun is behind the cloud. Stitcher. What the heck is?
That sounds like like some kind of poor company.
Stitcher?
Sounds poor.
It sounds like that time, it sounds like a disease you get when you're old. Stitcher. I got a stitcher in my side or something, right?
Or my stitcher hurts.
And you can ask.
It's burning.
Yeah, my stitcher is burning. Okay. Or you can ask Siri or Alexa. I don't know either of these women, but you can ask them to play it on the home pod and phone.
They sound like sluts. That's Siri.
For
That's a
sure.
slut name.
For sure, 100%.
Did she get pregnant
Yeah,
when she was in high school?
yeah, that's probably why she dropped out, never make anything of herself. Okay.
So our daughters are coming back now. Bye. Okay, I'll tell it to you like it is. So here we are back again.
Oh, wow.
We are miraculously. It's Golda and Wanru. So until next time, I'm Golda.
And I'm Monroe.
This has been the Ganru Show. Thank you for listening and watching.
Bye.